Welcome to the Bible Quiz. Today, we're embarking on an exciting journey through the timeless wisdom and profound mysteries of the Old Testament with 50 Best Old Testament Bible Riddles. Challenge your memory. Prepare yourself to unlock the secrets hidden within the ancient texts, where heroes rise, miracles unfold, and divine wisdom is revealed. We've carefully curated 50 of the most intriguing and thought-provoking riddles to test your knowledge and deepen your appreciation for these sacred stories. But before we dive into the riddles, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us share the enduring wisdom of the Bible with people all around the world. Are you ready to test your memory and see how well you know the fascinating tales of the Old Testament? Let's get started. Question 1. Whose cloak was used to part a river? A. Elijah. B. Aaron. C. Elisha. D. Moses. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Elijah. In 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 8, Elijah took his cloak, rolled it up, and struck the water of the Jordan River, causing it to part so that he and Elisha could cross on dry ground. This miraculous act was a testament to Elijah's prophetic power and God's presence with him. After Elijah was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind, Elisha repeated the miracle with the same cloak, signifying that he had inherited Elijah's spirit and mission. Question 2. Who defeated Goliath? A. Saul. B. David. C. Samson. D. Jonathan. You get 10 seconds. That's B. David. In 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 49 to 50, David, a young shepherd boy, defeats the giant Goliath with a single stone from his sling, hitting him in the forehead and causing him to fall face down to the ground. David then used Goliath's own sword to kill him and cut off his head. This victory demonstrated David's faith in God and marked the beginning of his rise to prominence in Israel, ultimately leading to his kingship. Question 3. Who did Boaz marry? A. Ruth. B. Sarah. C. Rebecca. D. Bathsheba. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Ruth. In the book of Ruth, chapter 4, verse 13, Boaz married Ruth, a Moabite widow who had shown great loyalty to her mother-in-law Naomi. Ruth's faithfulness and Boaz's kindness led to their union, which was blessed by God. They became the great-grandparents of King David, making Ruth an important figure in the lineage of Jesus Christ. Question 4. To whom did the ravens bring food? A. Noah. B. Elisha. C. Elijah. D. Moses. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Elijah. In 1 Kings chapter 17, verses 4 to 6, the prophet Elijah was provided food by ravens during a time of drought and famine. God instructed Elijah to hide by the Kerith ravine, east of the Jordan, where he drank from the brook and was fed bread and meat by the ravens every morning and evening. This miraculous provision highlighted God's care and sustenance for his prophet during difficult times. Question 5. Who had 700 wives and 300 concubines? A. David. B. Abraham. C. Solomon. D. Abimelech. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Solomon. Despite his wisdom and the early successes of his reign, Solomon's many marriages, especially to foreign women who worshipped other gods, led him to idolatry and eventually caused the downfall of his kingdom. This serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of disobedience to God's commands. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 3. Treasured companion, subscribing is the key to staying informed about our upcoming quizzes. Make sure you don't miss out. Question 6. Whose small jar of oil filled all the jars she could gather? A. Ruth. B. Esther. C. The widow of Zarephath. D. The widow of a prophet. You get 10 seconds. That's D, the widow of a prophet. In 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 1-7, a widow asked Elisha for help as her creditors were about to take her sons as slaves. Elisha told her to gather empty jars and pour her small amount of oil into them. Miraculously, the oil kept flowing until all the jars were filled. She sold the oil, paid her debts, and lived on the remainder, illustrating God's provision and care for those in need. Question 7. Who was Moses' father-in-law? A. Lot. B. Jethro. C. Aaron. D. Abraham. You get 10 seconds. That's B, Jethro. In Exodus chapter 3, verse 1, Jethro, the priest of Midian, Jethro played a significant role in Moses' life, providing him with wise counsel and support. In Exodus chapter 18, Jethro advised Moses on how to delegate his judicial responsibilities to capable men, which helped Moses manage the burdens of leadership more effectively. Question 8. Who was the first murderer? A. Cain. B. Abel. C. Adam. D. Lamech. You get 10 seconds. That's A, Cain. In Genesis chapter 4, verse 8, Cain, the firstborn son of Adam and Eve, became the first murderer when he killed his younger brother Abel out of jealousy and anger. God had accepted Abel's offering but rejected Cain's, leading to Cain's resentment. This tragic event highlights the destructive consequences of sin and jealousy. Question 9. Who was despised by his wife for dancing before the Lord? A. Eli. B. Saul. C. David. D. Abraham. You get 10 seconds. That's C, David. In 2 Samuel chapter 6, verses 14 to 16, as the Ark of the Covenant was brought into Jerusalem, Michal, the daughter of Saul, saw David leaping and dancing and felt contempt for him, criticizing him for what she considered undignified behavior. David's joyful worship contrasted with Michal's pride, illustrating the importance of wholehearted devotion to God. Question 10. Who did the Lord command to marry a prostitute? A. Hosea. B. Micaiah. C. Habakkuk. D. Zechariah. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Hosea. This symbolic act represented Israel's unfaithfulness to God through idolatry and spiritual adultery. Hosea's marriage to Gomer and her subsequent unfaithfulness served as a vivid illustration of God's steadfast love and mercy toward his wayward people, calling them to repentance and restoration. Hosea chapter 1, verses 2 to 3. Question 11. Who were Lazarus' siblings? A. Mary and Joanna. B. Mary and Martha. C. Mary and Elizabeth. D. Mary and Magdalene. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Mary and Martha. They lived in the village of Bethany. The story of Lazarus' resurrection by Jesus, found in John chapter 11, is a powerful testament to Jesus' power over death and his deep compassion for his friends. Mary and Martha's faith and relationship with Jesus are also highlighted in various passages, showing their significant roles in his ministry. Question 12. Who was blind but still killed many with his death? A. Eli. B. David. C. Samson. D. Bartimaeus. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Samson. In Judges chapter 16, verses 29 to 30, while being mocked in the temple of Dagon, he prayed to God for strength one last time. He then pushed down the pillars of the temple, killing himself and many Philistines, thus achieving a final victory over Israel's enemies. Samson's story highlights God's ability to use flawed individuals to fulfill his purposes. Question 13. What kind of animal questioned its owner for being beaten? A. Lion. B. Horse. C. Sheep. D. Donkey. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Donkey. In Numbers chapter 22, verses 28 to 30, God opened the donkey's mouth, allowing it to question Balaam about the beating. The donkey had seen the angel of the Lord blocking their path, which Balaam had not seen. This event demonstrates God's power and his ability to use even a humble animal to convey his message. Question 14. Who served 14 years for two women? A. Isaac. B. Jacob. C. Joseph. D. Abraham. You get 10 seconds. That's B, Jacob. In Genesis chapter 29, verses 20 to 30, Jacob served Laban for 14 years to marry his 2 daughters. Jacob loved Rachel and agreed to work 7 years for her, but Laban deceived him into marrying Leah first. Jacob then worked another 7 years for Rachel. This story underscores themes of love, perseverance, and the consequences of deceit. Question 15. Whose words made the sun stand still? A. Moses. B. Gideon. C. Joshua. D. Abraham. You get 10 seconds. That's C, Joshua. In Joshua, chapter 10, verses 12 to 14, Joshua prayed to the Lord during a battle against the Amorites, asking for the sun to stand still over Gibeon and the moon over the valley of Ajalon. God granted his request, and the sun stopped in the sky until Israel had achieved victory. This miracle showed God's direct intervention in the battle and his support for Joshua and the Israelites. Question 16. Who used foxes to set fire to grain and olive orchards? A. Samson. B. Simeon. C. Solomon. D. Shadrach. You get 10 seconds. That's A, Samson. In Judges chapter 15, verses 4 to 5, Samson used 300 foxes. He caught the foxes, tied their tails together in pairs with torches, and released them into the standing grain. This act of revenge against the Philistines for giving his wife to another man demonstrated Samson's resourcefulness and his role as a judge delivering Israel from their enemies. Question 17. How many Assyrians were struck down by an angel in one day? A. 12,000. B. 18,000. C. 135,000. D. 185,000. You get 10 seconds. That's D, 185,000. In 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 35, an angel of the Lord struck down 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in one night. This miraculous event occurred as the Assyrian army besieged Jerusalem during King Hezekiah's reign. The destruction of the Assyrian forces demonstrated God's power to protect his people and deliver them from seemingly insurmountable threats. Question 18. How did Elijah ascend into heaven? A. By an angel. B. In a whirlwind. C. In a pillar of fire. D. In a pillar of cloud. You get 10 seconds. That's B, in a whirlwind. In 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11, Elijah ascended into heaven in a whirlwind accompanied by a chariot and horses of fire. As Elijah and Elisha walked and talked, a fiery chariot separated them, and Elijah was taken up to heaven. This dramatic departure signified Elijah's unique role as a prophet and God's special favor upon him. Question 19. What did Elisha bring up to the water's surface? A. A sword. B. A horseshoe. C. An axe head. D. A wooden box. You get 10 seconds. That's C. An axe head. In 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 5 to 7, when a borrowed axe head fell into the Jordan River, Elisha threw a stick into the water at the spot where it fell, causing the iron axe head to float. This miracle demonstrated Elisha's prophetic power and God's concern for the practical needs of his people. Question 20. What does a rainbow symbolize in the Bible? A. Easter. B. Angels. C. Covenant. D. End of the world. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Covenant. In Genesis chapter 9, verses 12 to 17, a rainbow symbolizes God's covenant with Noah and all living creatures that he would never again destroy the earth with a flood. After the flood, God set the rainbow in the clouds as a sign of this everlasting promise, representing God's mercy, faithfulness, and the assurance of His grace towards humanity. Stay with us until the end of the video to see how many Bible quiz questions you got right. Don't forget to note your score and share it with us in the comments section. Let's explore and learn more about the Bible with these fun and interesting questions. Question 21. How did the Lord appear to Elijah? A. In fire. B. In an earthquake. C. In a strong wind. D. In a low whisper. You get 10 seconds. That's D. In a low whisper. In 1 Kings chapter 19, verses 11 to 13, the Lord appeared to Elijah not in the powerful wind, earthquake, or fire, but in a gentle whisper. After Elijah fled to Mount Horeb, God revealed His presence in the stillness following these dramatic events, demonstrating that God's voice can be found in quiet, unexpected moments rather than just in grand displays of power. Question 22. Who was the oldest man ever to live? A. Noah. B. Adam. C. Lamech. D. Methuselah. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Methuselah. Methuselah's extended lifespan not only highlights the remarkable ages of antediluvian humans, but also serves as a testament to the era's unique conditions. His life spanned multiple generations, connecting him directly to Adam and indirectly to Noah, emphasizing the continuity of God's creation and the unfolding of His redemptive plan through successive generations. Genesis chapter 5, verse 27. Question 23. Who grabbed a snake by its tail? A. Moses. B. Elisha. C. Elijah. D. Paul. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Moses. In Exodus chapter 4, verses 3 to 4, when God called Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, he instructed Moses to throw his staff on the ground and it became a snake. God then told Moses to grab the snake by its tail, and it turned back into a staff. This miracle was one of the signs God provided to reassure Moses and demonstrate his power to the Israelites. Question 24. What did Gideon beat out in the winepress? A. A dog. B. Wheat. C. Barley. D. Lentils. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Wheat. In Judges chapter 6, verse 11, Gideon was beating out wheat in a winepress to hide it from the Midianites. The oppressive Midianites had driven the Israelites to hide their food, and Gideon's actions reflect the dire circumstances. His encounter with the angel of the Lord at this moment marked the beginning of his mission to deliver Israel from Midianite oppression. Question 25. Which city's walls collapsed on the seventh day? A. Jericho. B. Samaria. C. Shechem. D. Jerusalem. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Jericho. In Joshua chapter 6, verse 20, the walls of Jericho collapsed on the seventh day after the Israelites, following God's instructions, marched around the city for 6 days. On the seventh day, they marched around the city 7 times, blew their trumpets, and shouted, causing the walls to fall. This miraculous event led to the conquest of Jericho and showcased God's power and faithfulness to his promises. Question 26. Who threw stones and cursed King David? A. Ahithophel. B. Absalom. C. Shimei. D. Abishai. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Shimei. In 2 Samuel chapter 16, verses 5 to 13, Shimei, a man from the house of Saul, threw stones and cursed King David as he fled from his son Absalom. Despite the provocation, David chose to show restraint and viewed Shimei's actions as possibly being directed by God, highlighting David's humility and trust in God's justice. Question 27. Who was asked to curse Israel, but he could only bless them? A. Saul. B. Balak. C. Shimei. D. Balaam. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Balaam. In Numbers chapters 22 to 24, Balaam was asked by Balak, the king of Moab, to curse Israel. However, every time Balaam attempted to speak, God put words of blessing in his mouth instead of curses. Balaam's inability to curse Israel despite Balak's insistence underscores God's protection over his chosen people and the futility of opposing his will. Question 28. Who was so afraid that he drew marks on the doors and let spittle run down his beard? A. Peter. B. David. C. Jacob. D. Nebuchadnezzar. You get 10 seconds. That's B, David. When David realized that Achish's servants recognized him and might kill him, he changed his behavior, scratching at the door and letting saliva run down his beard. Achish, believing David to be insane, sent him away, allowing David to escape. This story shows David's ingenuity and desperation while on the run from King Saul. 1 Samuel, chapter 21, verses 12 to 15. Question 29. Who was eaten by dogs? A. Saul. B. Ahaz. C. Ahab. D. Jezebel. You get 10 seconds. That's D, Jezebel. In 2 Kings chapter 9, verses 30 to 37, after her husband King Ahab died, Jezebel continued her wicked reign. When Jehu came to Jezreel, she was thrown out of a window by her own eunuchs at Jehu's command. Her body was trampled by horses, and when they went to bury her, they found only her skull, feet, and hands, as dogs had eaten the rest. This fulfilled the prophecy given by Elijah, demonstrating God's judgment against her wickedness. Question 30. Who sacrificed his daughter because he vowed to God? A. Saul. B. Jehu. C. Shimei. D. Jephthah. You get 10 seconds. That's D, Jephthah. In Judges chapter 11, verses 30 to 40, Jephthah made a vow to God that if he were given victory over the Ammonites, he would sacrifice whatever came out of the door of his house to greet him. Tragically, his only daughter was the first to greet him upon his return. Despite the sorrow, Jephthah fulfilled his vow, demonstrating the serious and sometimes tragic consequences of rash vows. Question 31. Which king brought wine and bread to Abraham? A. King of Salem. B. King of Elisha. C. King of Shinar. D. King of Sodom. You get 10 seconds. That's A, King of Salem. In Genesis chapter 14, verses 18 to 20, Melchizedek, king of Salem and priest of God Most High, brought out bread and wine to Abraham after his victory over the kings. Melchizedek blessed Abraham and praised God for delivering Abraham's enemies into his hands. This encounter highlighted Melchizedek's unique role as both king and priest, and he is later referenced in the New Testament as a type of Christ. Question 32. Who was jeered at by children because of his bald head? A. Elijah. B. Aaron. C. Elisha. D. David. You get 10 seconds. That's C, Elisha. In 2 Kings chapter 2, verses 23 to 25, the prophet Elisha was jeered at by a group of boys in Bethel who mocked him by shouting, "Go up, you bald head." Elisha cursed them in the name of the Lord, and 2 bears came out of the forest and mauled 42 of the boys. This event demonstrated the seriousness of showing disrespect to God's prophets and the consequences of irreverence. Question 33. Which animal treats its young cruelly? A. Lion. B. Snake. C. Horse. D. Ostrich. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Ostrich. This passage highlights the ostrich's lack of wisdom in laying her eggs on the ground, where they are easily trampled or stolen. Although the ostrich is a fast runner and has an impressive physique, she seems indifferent to the safety of her young. This shows that even in nature, there are species that do not care for their offspring in the way humans think. Job chapter 39, verses 13 to 18. Question 34. About whom did God say, "A man after my heart, who will do all my will"? A. Job. B. David. C. Elijah. D. Isaiah. You get 10 seconds. That's B. David. This commendation highlights David's deep devotion and obedience to God, despite his flaws and failures. David's sincere repentance and wholehearted worship set him apart as a king who earnestly sought to fulfill God's purposes for Israel. Acts chapter 13, verse 22. Question 35. Who prophesied to a valley of dry bones and they came back to life? A. Elijah. B. Daniel. C. Isaiah. D. Ezekiel. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Ezekiel. In Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 1 to 14, God led Ezekiel to a valley filled with dry bones and commanded him to prophesy to them. As Ezekiel obeyed, the bones came together, grew flesh and skin, and were filled with breath, becoming a vast living army. This vision symbolized the restoration of Israel, demonstrating God's power to revive and renew his people. If you find this helpful, please consider supporting the Bible Quiz team by subscribing to our channel. Question 36. By how many years did God extend Hezekiah's life? A. 15. B. 10. C. 5. D. 3. You get 10 seconds. That's A. 15. When Hezekiah fell ill and was near death, he prayed earnestly to God, who then sent the prophet Isaiah to tell him that his prayer had been heard and his life would be extended. This act of divine mercy underscored God's responsiveness to sincere prayer and his power over life and death. 2 Kings chapter 20, verses 1 to 6. Question 37. Who was eaten by worms because he did not give God the glory? A. Judas. B. Pilate. C. Herod. D. Ananias. You get 10 seconds. That's C, Herod. In Acts chapter 12, verses 21 to 23, while delivering a public address, the people shouted that his voice was that of a god, not a man. Instead of rebuking them and giving glory to God, Herod accepted the adulation. As a result, an angel of the Lord struck him down and he was eaten by worms and died. This incident highlights the importance of humility and giving glory to God. Question 38. What did Peter see inside the great sheet that descended from heaven during his vision? A. Oil. B. A scroll. C. A woman. D. All kinds of animals. You get 10 seconds. That's D, all kinds of animals. In Acts chapter 10, verses 11 to 16, Peter saw a large sheet descending from heaven with quadrupeds, reptiles, and birds. A voice told him to kill and eat, but Peter refused, having never eaten anything unclean. The voice replied, "Do not call unclean what God has made clean." This vision, repeated 3 times, signified God opening the way for Gentiles to participate in salvation, breaking down cultural barriers and dietary laws. Question 39. Who walked with God and he was not? A. Seth. B. Enoch. C. Elisha. D. Lamech. You get 10 seconds. That's B, Enoch. Enoch lived 365 years and had a close, faithful relationship with God. He did not experience death as others did, but was taken by God. This exceptional account emphasizes Enoch's righteousness and intimacy with God. Genesis chapter 5, verse 24. Question 40. Which was the 9th plague to strike Egypt? A. Locusts. B. Darkness. C. Pestilence. D. Death of every firstborn. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Darkness. A thick darkness covered the land of Egypt for 3 days, so intense that the Egyptians could not see one another or move about. However, the Israelites had light where they lived. This plague demonstrated God's power over nature and further displayed his distinction between his people and the Egyptians. Exodus chapter 10, verses 21 to 29. Question 41. Who was king after Solomon? A. Jehu. B. David. C. Rehoboam. D. Chenaanah. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Rehoboam. In 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 43, Rehoboam's reign was marked by a division in the kingdom, as his harsh response to the people's request for lighter burdens led to the secession of the 10 northern tribes, forming the kingdom of Israel under Jeroboam, while Rehoboam ruled over the kingdom of Judah. This division fulfilled God's prophecy and highlighted the consequences of poor leadership and ignoring wise counsel. Question 42. Who did the Lord not allow to enter the promised land? A. Moses. B. Caleb. C. Joshua. D. Aaron. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Moses. In Numbers chapter 20, verse 12, Moses struck the rock twice to bring forth water instead of speaking to it as God had commanded. This act of disobedience and lack of trust in God's word resulted in Moses being permitted only to see the promised land from a distance, but not to enter it, underscoring the importance of complete obedience to God. Question 43. How many people went into Noah's ark? A. 2. B. 3. C. 5. D. 8. You get 10 seconds. That's D. 8. In Genesis chapter 7, verse 13, Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives entered the ark to be saved from the flood. This small group represented the human race's continuation after the flood and highlighted God's provision for preserving life amid judgment. Question 44. What was Abraham doing when the Lord made a covenant with him? A. He cried. B. He slept. C. He danced. D. He laughed. You get 10 seconds. That's B. He slept. Genesis chapter 15, verses 9 to 18. As Abraham fell into a deep sleep, a smoking firepot and a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces, symbolizing God's presence and his unilateral covenant promise to give Abraham's descendants the land. This covenant emphasized God's commitment and faithfulness to his promises. Question 45. Who built the temple? A. Elijah. B. David. C. Samuel. D. Solomon. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Solomon. In 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 1, Solomon, the son of King David, constructed the temple as a permanent dwelling place for the Ark of the Covenant and a center for Israelite worship. The temple was renowned for its grandeur and splendor, symbolizing God's presence among his people and the fulfillment of the covenant promise made to David. Question 46. Whose hair got caught in an oak tree? A. Absalom. B. Samson. C. David. D. Saul. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Absalom. In 2 Samuel chapter 18, verse 9, Absalom, the son of King David, got his hair caught in the branches of an oak tree during the Battle of Ephraim. Joab, the commander of David's army, later killed him while he was defenseless. Absalom's death marked the end of his rebellion against his father, David, and served as a tragic reminder of the consequences of pride and ambition. Question 47. Who saw a ladder in his dream that reached heaven? A. Isaac. B. Joseph. C. Jacob. D. Abraham. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Jacob. This dream occurred while Jacob was fleeing from his brother Esau and resting at Bethel. In the dream, God reaffirmed his covenant with Jacob, promising him numerous descendants and the land on which he was lying. The ladder symbolizes the connection between heaven and earth and God's ongoing presence and guidance in Jacob's life. Genesis chapter 28, verse 12. Question 48. Who did God command to carry the Ark of the Covenant? A. Tribe of Levi. B. Tribe of Judah. C. Tribe of Reuben. D. Tribe of Simeon. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Tribe of Levi. In Numbers chapter 4, verse 15, the Kohathites, one of the clans of the tribe of Levi, were responsible for transporting the most sacred objects of the tabernacle, including the ark. They were instructed to carry it using poles inserted into rings on its sides without touching the ark itself, to maintain its sanctity and to avoid death. Question 49. How did God guide the Israelites out of Egypt? A. A blazing star. B. A thunderstorm. C. A golden chariot. D. A pillar of fire and a cloud. You get 10 seconds. That's D. A pillar of fire and a cloud. The pillar of cloud provided shade and direction during the day, while the pillar of fire gave light and protection at night. This miraculous guidance demonstrated God's constant presence and care for His people as they journeyed through the wilderness toward the promised land. Exodus chapter 13, verses 21 to 22. Question 50. Who was turned into a pillar of salt? A. Leah. B. Lot's wife. C. Rachel. D. Noah's wife. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Lot's wife. Genesis chapter 19, verse 26. As Lot and his family fled the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, they were instructed not to look back. However, Lot's wife looked back and was transformed into a pillar of salt as a consequence of her disobedience. This story serves as a warning about the consequences of not fully trusting and obeying God's commands. Fantastic! What an incredible journey through the Old Testament, challenging your knowledge with 50 of its most intriguing riddles. We hope you enjoyed testing your memory and deepening your understanding of these ancient stories. If you found this quiz fun and enlightening, please give the video a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. Let's invite them to embark on this biblical adventure and discover the richness of the Old Testament together. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more quizzes, inspiring content, and profound biblical insights. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue spreading the wisdom of the Bible far and wide. We highly value your feedback, so please share your score any questions or suggestions for future quizzes in the comments below. Together, we can continue to explore and appreciate the depth of God's Word. Thank you for joining us today, and may you be blessed on your spiritual journey. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next video.